After traveling the world for 14 years, living in and visiting 65 different countries, here are some of the most important things I've learned about safety. These same ideas apply no matter where you are in the world, even your home country. I'm going to tell you how I remain safe, but I don't want you to think I believe you need to fear the world. I do not believe that. I have never been pickpocketed, robbed, or assaulted as I travel the world in 14 years outside my home countries. These are just common sense things I do to keep it that way. Many of us are taught that our home country is safe, but the rest of the world is dangerous. I have not found that to be the case. So you need to follow these same ideas whenever you are discovering a new part of your home country where you have not been before, or a new country or somewhere else in the world. Okay, here we go. Experience tells me that safety is a function of two concepts. First, safety is more a function of your personal knowledge and experience on the ground in a new place. Once you've been somewhere long enough, you'll have the knowledge and experience to make better decisions about safe versus risky behavior in each place. Since you will have neither knowledge or experience when you arrive in a new town or country, this video will give you tips to increase safety until you have the knowledge and experience you need. Second, safety is more of a function of each individual neighborhood within a city or country than it is about the safety rating of the entire country as a whole. So when you're looking at where to travel, focus more on safe areas of the country or safe neighborhoods within the city. There are neighborhoods in almost any large city in the USA, where I'm from, that are 10 times more dangerous than typical neighborhoods anywhere in the world. You have to focus more locally to remain safe. But odd things happen, even in generally safe neighborhoods all over the world, including your home country. So consider using some of my below observations about how to slow travel the world safely, whether in a new city in your home country or a new city across the world. Quit selling yourself. The first thing you have to change is your mindset. Loose lips sink ships. If you're slow traveling the world, you'll be in one place for a few months from time to time. That's long enough to develop relationships with locals, which I do recommend. But there's also a downside to that. If there are people around you with bad intentions, they'll have weeks, possibly months, to determine if you are a good target, more time to gain knowledge about your patterns of coming and going from home, and more time to learn about how much money they may be able to take from you based upon how much information you share with them. These are factors that short-term travelers can worry less about. In the USA, we talk freely, often to strangers, about our accomplishments, our jobs, our hobbies, our possessions, our titles, our homes, and anything else we're proud of. We listen to each other's history and life story, and we decide who we have enough in common with, or who sounds interesting enough to further investigate as friends or lovers. In the West, someone's story, if interesting, elevates them in our mind. So we learn to tell our story in the USA when we are asked questions. We sell ourselves to others. We share the best things about ourselves because we believe it will attract the right people into our lives. By talking about the most positive or shiny sides of ourselves, we believe we'll attract more interesting people. You need to stop that before leaving your home country or going to a new city where you don't know anyone. Most people that move to retire cheap in paradise locations around the world continue this behavior, especially single men looking for love. You see, your social status will help you find love in parts of the world like America, the UK, Australia, Canada, and many others. But don't do that when you go to lower income per capita countries around the world. There are two reasons you need to stop. Listen carefully. First, you don't need that high level of status when you're in a low income country. Even if you are considered lower income in your home country, you are still making more than the average locals in developing countries. So you don't need to talk yourself up to gain attention from potential partners in developing countries or friends. They already know you can give them a better economic life as soon as they hear you're from a higher income country. They know that before you say a word. So if you sell yourself as a big deal and play big man or big woman on campus, you're setting yourself up for failure, or maybe worse. You'll attract a partner that's focused on status and money. So if your resources dry up, they'll be gone in a heartbeat. Plus, you'll have to keep playing big shot once you start down that road with a new partner. They'll expect you to support not only them in a way you have represented yourself, but they will brag about you to their family and friends, and you'll become the neighborhood bank. But it could get even worse than that. In some countries, what you consider to be harmless information may confirm that you are a worthy target. When you casually meet people in a foreign country and you don't know who you're talking to, don't tell them your uncle owns 5% of some powerful corporation, or that you had a job that paid well for 35 years, or that you're just inherited a fortune and are traveling the world. 99% of the people in the world will not use that against you. Doesn't matter what country. But you're new in town. You don't know who you're talking to or whether or not that information will confirm you as a target to rob, kidnap, or milk for money. Don't be the big man on campus thinking you'll get the hottest woman or the hottest man in town if they know your story back home. Don't embellish yourself to find love or make connections. Be quiet, be humble, ask questions, and learn about people. Don't talk about yourself unless they ask. You may not think you are a big deal back home, but you may say something that makes you a target. Instead, give short, polite answers that play down your place in the world. If you were a business owner that sold his office supply store and retired early to travel the world, and they asked what kind of work you do, say, I worked in an office supply store. I'm living on a meager pension now. Then ask them a question and focus the attention back on them. Good, honest people don't care if you are rich or famous, or whether you know rich or famous people. Don't let your insecurity about finding love turn you into a target for a bad relationship or for a criminal. Just by being a foreigner from another country, you're interesting. You don't need to talk yourself up to make friends in foreign countries. You're just making yourself a target. 99% of the time, that won't be a problem because the world is generally a safe place. Over a few months or years, when you begin to trust a person and see how they behave towards others, you will know who to trust and who you can't trust. But you may even want to stay quiet forever. What if you finally share information about your good fortune with someone you trust and they share it with another person you don't know? Loose lips sink ships. No matter where you are in the world, even your home country, you are the ship, so don't sink yourself. Fly low and humbly. Let your character alone attract the right people. Acceptance of risk spreads by areas and times. Do all the research about which countries and places you want to visit, but upon arrival, be conservative with the amount of risk you're willing to accept. Stay in areas that feel safe to you when you first arrive, and don't get isolated in remote areas. Don't wander too far off the beaten path at first. Stay closer to your accommodations and return earlier in the evening for the first few days or until a sense of safety arises in you. So how does this sense of safety arise in you? Watch what the locals are doing. Do they all head home and lock themselves in by dark? Do they walk freely without a care in the world? Or are they walking quickly, keeping a watchful eye around them? Are their cell phones in their hands or in their back pockets? Or are they hidden away more securely? Think of it as an expanding exploration of safe areas and times of day to be out and about. Risk acceptance is small at first, but grows as your sense of safety arises and your experience and knowledge increases. Watch safety signals locals give about times of day and walkability areas. Watch what parents are doing with their kids. If you see parents walking around with their kids with little concern and no fear on their faces, you're likely in a place at a safe time. Are people walking casually with little concern? Are they watching their surroundings with suspicion or fear? Learn from watching the body language of the locals, and you're likely to be safer in safer areas at safer times of day or night. If you slowly expand the times and areas to roam freely over time while you watch what the locals are doing, there's a pretty good chance you'll be okay too. When you sense danger, whether the time of day or night or or area that you're presently exploring, move quickly back to where safety feels strong again. Don't get isolated. Violence and force are more likely to occur when you are isolated, when there's no witnesses around. Isolation is even more dangerous if you are alone. Don't walk down that street if you don't see anyone else there. Later, after you've been in the area for longer, that may turn out to be an area where you are willing to assume the risk. It might feel safe to you. Notice when the locals are clearing out of an area. Don't be the last one to leave. Don't go home with someone you just met. Get to know them in public before you get isolated with new people. Add them on Facebook and see if they have a family and friends. Older people and families with children are generally much safer than younger people. Don't get talked into doing something that will isolate you with someone you just met. A motorcycle ride in the country may sound great, but wait until you know the person better. If you suddenly are isolated and have fear, move into a restaurant or a store and buy or order something and calm down. Ask the waiter to call you a taxi or use a ride-sharing service application. Services like Uber will take you door to door without negotiating price or location in a foreign language. Avoid hiking in isolated areas like mountains or nature until you verify that it's a safe area. Avoid walking across town until you learn whether you'll be passing through a dangerous area. Don't get isolated on a boat or a vehicle traveling through an isolated area until you have verified that the operator and the service and the area is relatively safe. Remain highly aware and conscious of everyone around you. Remain aware of everyone around you at all times and whether or not they seemed interested in you. If anyone seems to be following, turn from time to time to see if they follow and move quickly to more populated areas if they do. When people are in public places, they are often taking actions that are consistent with a predictable purpose. You can tell what they're there for and what they're up to. They're walking from place to place, they're talking on their cell phone, they're waiting in lines, they're parking their car, they're carrying their groceries. What seems to be their purpose? Are they watching you or anyone else? Watch for a bit with your peripheral vision. Are they taking any actions that are consistent with any predictable purpose you can ascertain without much imagination? Do you get an odd feeling about them? If they're near you and continue to have no predictable purpose, walk away from them and see if they follow. Don't let them know you are aware of them. If they follow you after you make a few turns, move to a more populated area where you will feel safe. Don't get so drunk in public that you become an easy target. Don't walk home drunk at night. Keep your drink in your hand where it is less likely that someone will spike your drink with a drug. If you end up drinking too much in public or you are walking home too late, get an Uber, taxi, or other ride sharing to take you home. That Uber taxi creates an international record of the last person who saw you. Thus, that Uber driver has a self-interest in getting you home safely, so the local police are less likely to accuse them of a crime if they can get you home safely. Trust me, they know the police may be at their door if the taxi is the last dollar you ever charged on your credit card before you go missing. They're more likely to get you home safely than some random taxi you waved down on the street. Drugs make you vulnerable. I'm not judging you. I grew up in the 70s. I've done my share of drugs, but you don't want to spend 10 years in a foreign jail as someone's bitch, do you? Learn the drug penalties before you fly if you insist on doing drugs. Some countries still have a life in prison or the death penalty. Bribing a policeman may save your life in some countries, but could make things worse in other countries. Do you even have an extra 1,000 or 10,000 laying around to pay some corrupt police officer to let you go free? That sounds like a bad bet to me. I bought weed in Jamaica in 1992. 1 hour later, the drug dealer showed up in the lobby of my hotel with the police. The dealer was there to identify me so he could get some of the money the corrupt police intended to extract from me. Luckily, I was standing on my balcony when the dealer arrived at my hotel with the police, so I flushed the weed down the toilet and nothing happened to me. I didn't even have to pay a bribe. You may not be so lucky. You just don't know all the games people are playing in a new country. You're not in your home country. Your street smarts don't apply to the streets of a country you've never been before. Don't break any laws. Some people that are new at travel have this romantic idea that if the police arrest them in a foreign country, the embassy representative will spend time trying to save them from doing time in a foreign jail. Don't hold your breath. The Marines are not going to helicopter in and rescue you for your stupid mistakes. Your rights in your home country do not apply in a foreign country unless you're an embassy employee. Don't get in fights in foreign countries. Fighting will get you a warning in some parts of the world, but you are going to jail if you fight in many other parts of the world. Violence is not considered courageous in most of the world. It's just stupid. So screw your head on straight and be a polite representative of your home country. If booze turned you into an animal, just stay at home when you drink, or don't drink at all. Stay away from prostitution. I'm not judging you or the prostitutes, but this is the greatest isolation technique I know of. Victims end up alone in a hotel room or their home with a prostitute. When the victim goes to the bathroom, the prostitute lets the criminal into the room. The criminal robs you at gunpoint or knife point. This doesn't happen every time, but happens enough in some parts of the world to not take the risk. In your best case scenario, they take all your cash and valuable possessions. Worst case scenario, they take you out on a 2 to 3 day driving spree where they hold a gun to your head as you pull all of your money out of every ATM in town. If you're stupid enough to have bragged about your rich uncle or your 401k retirement account to a nice person you just met before you learned they were a prostitute, their criminal accomplice may try to hold you ransom for thousands more, even after your accounts are drained. You just were robbed by a prostitute and her pimp. Since you solicited prostitution, which is a crime, you can't even call the police. In some countries, the police may even ask for a bribe so they don't arrest you for soliciting prostitution. As a foreigner from overseas, you already are more interesting to many of the locals. Just meet people more naturally and develop normal relationships. Don't get involved in criminal sex. Here are a few links to help you find love in a foreign country without paying for sex. How to find love in Southeast Asia and anywhere in the world. Best countries to find love in retirement. And how Chung and I met. Links on the webpage. So after viewing these videos about how to find love as you slow travel the world, you may wonder what you should or shouldn't talk about with locals you meet as prospective partners. You need to quit selling yourself, as I said above. Quit talking about how great you are, how much money you have. The fact that you are from another country makes you interesting enough. Plus, talking about all of your accomplishments would make you a target if you're talking to the wrong person or they share that information with the wrong person. They may be good, but not everyone is. Risk is higher at night. After a few days or a few weeks in a new place, you'll end up wanting to explore the nightlife as you slow travel the world. Risk of trouble is often slightly higher at night when you're discovering a new part of the world. Only bring the amount of money you expect to spend that evening with you. Don't bring your credit cards or ATM cards with you at night. Just bring the money you need for the evening with you. I've never been robbed, beaten. I've never been a victim of crime in 14 years traveling the world. But if it happens one day, I'll just hand the money over to the criminal holding the knife or gun. I won't think twice about it because I only have enough money for the evening, not even enough money to risk my life by arguing with the criminal I'm not sure there's enough money to do that. Make sure to watch my video about how to maintain access to your money as you travel around the world. Link provided. That link also talks about how to use a decoy wallet with very little money in it. So if you do get pickpocketed, they don't come back for more. Remove the "please rob me" signs from your body. Do you know how a criminal finds their victim for the day? They look for people with expensive cars, expensive jewelry, expensive clothes, expensive shoes, expensive handbags. If you wear that stuff in your home country, you're only getting away with it because you know where it's safe to hang out with all those wealthy signals hanging from your body. But you are not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. When you first arrive in a new country, you don't know if you are in a low-risk zone. It takes time to figure that out. So when you travel the world, why take the risk? Just remove all those "I am rich, please rob me today" signals from your luggage. Just like loose lips sink ships, shiny things get taken away from you. And if all it is you do is take away your valuables, you'll be lucky. When you travel the world, do not bring any clothing or accessories that will make criminals think you are worth robbing. Just wear comfortable clothes with no expensive labels, not $200 sneakers or $1,500 iPhones or $2,000 watches, no $100 belts or $100 golf shirts or expensive shoes. Just lay low until you know where you are. You shouldn't even wear fake designer labels or fake designer watches, since a criminal might think they're real and he'll stick a gun in your face. The gun won't be fake, so lose the labels and signals of wealth from your person. Thanks for listening to my ideas about how to travel the world safely. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Click the link in the notes below this YouTube video to get a copy of all the resources described in this video and a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World. And while you're there, check out our 80 Retire Cheap reports and the course that teaches you how to make money as you travel the world.